So, let's go. Welcome. Today we are talking about the concept of health and information that can greatly impact the quality of life. And probably the best slogan fits our meeting is how to lead an imperfect lifestyle and still remain healthy. A dream for probably every person. I want to say right away that I do not believe in a panacea or a program that you will take today and be healthy tomorrow, because health is not a result. It is a process made up of small, simple steps and habits that will ultimately constitute our health. First of all, we will talk about why we get sick, why people get sick at the physiological level, and more importantly, we will learn and discuss the root causes of why these problems actually arise. Next, we will talk about active longevity. For me, this topic is much more relevant, because a person cannot be called healthy just because they are not sick. Health is when you have a lot of energy, when you have a strong immune system, when you have flexible joints, when you are full of strength and energy. That is what health is. And perhaps the most interesting and enticing thing about all this is how to live long while remaining, as they say, in good spirits. And ultimately, we will talk about what to start with, what steps any person can take. I understand how intense and busy our rhythm of life is today, and we need simple solutions that any person can apply. So, let's start talking about the basics without any unnecessary speeches and extra words. First of all, I want to say that everything I will talk about today is not just theory or some new information. This is what I have been living for 17 years, and my whole family follows this concept. Moreover, when I saw that it works, I started to promote this information further. Today, more than 100,000 people use the product, consistently apply the concept, achieve results over the years, and remain satisfied. This is probably the best confirmation that it works instead of 1,000 diplomas, certificates, and everything else, which of course we also have. So, let's go. First of all, let's start with the basics. Our body is made up of 70% water, and essentially it's analogous to an aquarium where fish swim. There are 12 systems, there are organs, tissues, and small cells. And just imagine that we are essentially creating an environment for our fish. The health of the fish ultimately depends on what this environment will be like. What are the main factors that influence us? First is movement, psychology, air, water, and food. Let's go in order, starting with movement. Movement today, I think no one will doubt that we have become much less active. Cars, elevators, transportation, we sit a lot, we burn fewer calories, consume fewer nutrients, and so on. Psychology, there are no incurable diseases, only incurable people. When a person tries to eliminate symptoms, let's assume someone has a headache and takes a pill that relieves the pain, not realizing that this is the body signaling that something is wrong, like a red light in a car that comes on when there is an issue with the engine. If we simply cut it off, yes, it doesn't bother us, but we certainly haven't become healthier. And people do this every day. When they lack energy, they drink coffee. When there are skin problems, rashes, a person starts buying creams and ointments. A runny nose comes and they spray something to constrict the blood vessels to keep it all inside. Don't like the smell of sweat? No problem. We use some deodorants, cologne. And this happens regularly. The most important thing is that we must understand that we need to create an environment within ourselves. We will talk about this a little later. Air. Today, almost all of us have moved to cities, and we receive much less energy. We have become energy dependent on the surrounding environment we are in. Next, a separate story. This is the topic of water and food. People are the only species on Earth that drink all kinds of liquids instead of water. Tea, coffee, soups, compotes, and so on. We would be very upset if something other than water came out of our tap today. We understand that water is a universal solvent and it should eliminate toxins. We will talk about this a little later. And imagine that we wash the floor with, say, coffee. It won't become clean. That is, something is already dissolved in the water. Next, humans are the only living species on Earth, the most intelligent Homo sapiens, that does something with food rather than just anything. We perform so many manipulations with it that it is unlikely we can say we are consuming live and proper food. The next principle is as follows. We consume something, and we eliminate what we don't need, that is, certain toxins. Now imagine that the process of accumulation is much greater than what we are able to eliminate. That is, intoxication is greater than detoxification. This happens because we heavily burden all our systems. What happens? 80% of water-soluble toxins should be eliminated by the kidneys, 20% of fat-soluble toxins through the intestines. But when they can't cope, other systems kick in, such as the lungs with all sorts of runny noses that appear in a person, some mucus is secreted, and so on. We, our aquarium, gradually turn it into a swamp. How will the fish feel in this aquarium? Moreover, an interesting point. A person understands, yes, the fish has started to get sick, and he begins to treat it. This approach is what many people unfortunately seek and follow. Many companies offer this solution. Here we have a program that will heal your fish. Okay, fine. In this case, the fish feels better, but we haven't changed the environment. We put it back in, and the problem returns. There can be no talk of health and longevity for us. And the most important thing we need to take care of is that the body copes with this easily. And we have a concept that consists of very simple steps. First step is to hydrate the organism, change the water in the aquarium, and maintain it. Second, clean the aquarium, create a normal environment for our fish. And third, provide proper nutrition. Because our cells, of which there are billions, have the property and ability to regenerate. We cut our hand, it healed. Our blood cells regenerate in 142 days, as do liver cells and heart cells. And if we create conditions for proper regeneration over a certain period of time, we can solve almost any issue. We'll start with water, which essentially has two functions. The first is transportation, delivering oxygen and all nutrients to every cell. And the second is the excretion function, which helps our body deal with toxins. But now, why is this so important? Our body consists of, well, almost every organ is more than 70% water. And our task is to meet the physiological norm. 30 grams per kilogram of body weight is like a temperature of 36.6. That is the norm. We must allocate 30 grams per kilogram of body weight. If we don't drink enough water, imagine trying to wash the floor not with a bucket of water, but with some glass. All toxins transition into a concentrated form, and water cannot perform its functions. There are excellent materials on the topic of dehydration, where scientists and academics discuss the connection between human problems and insufficient water intake. Well, let me name a few. Skin problems. Many women want to remain healthy, young, and beautiful. But what is the essence? Skin, the upper layer of the epidermis, is dead. It's like trying to stick the bark back to the tree. The most important process that will help prolong skin health is water from within. And the aging process is primarily a process of drying out concentrated toxins, stones, sand in the kidneys and in the gallbladder, that is, they precipitate. Increased pressure. The body needs to push this viscous fatty blood through the periphery, and accordingly, it copes with this by raising the pressure. All processes related to elevated blood sugar, including those associated with dehydration, joint problems, can also be linked to this process. Often headaches are the same story. My friends, I won't go into details, just a fact. Water needs to be drunk. That's it. Let's move on. The next point, what kind of water should we drink? A very simple comparison. We need water that will get into our cells as quickly and easily as possible. That is, logically, we need water that will most closely match our intercellular fluid. And these are several parameters highlighted today by the World Health Organization. These include the structure of water, the mineralization of water, the acid-base balance, the charge of water, and accordingly, the biological availability. Now we will talk about solutions. On one hand, our task is to eliminate 80% of water-soluble toxins, and two products handle this task. On one hand, there is Coral Mine. Imagine that we have the ability to turn any water we drink into water that can replace trips to the best sanatoriums in the world. Essentially, we recreate the water that centenarians on the islands of Japan drink, from where this product actually originates. And the water changes all its properties. It mineralizes in a lunar form, changes its structure, alters its memory, changes its charge, and adjusts the acid-base balance. Essentially, this is the water that is perfect for us. Imagine how a person would feel if they drank the right water throughout their life. The price is much cheaper than buying a cup of coffee somewhere in a restaurant or cafe. Second product is H500. It is an antioxidant. Let's discuss this separately. Imagine that when a person is born, it's like a battery that is charged for 120 years of life, and we are negatively charged inside. The charge is measured in millivolts. Our blood, lymph, intracellular fluid, and intercellular fluid have a negative charge. What we excrete as waste products of life activity is a positive charge, meaning we get rid of everything unnecessary. And everything we drink either gives us energy or takes it away. And now imagine thermally processed food, carbonated drinks, tea, coffee, household water, purified water will always have a colossal positive charge. It's as if we cut ourselves off and take away our genetic potential to live much longer than 100 years. And now imagine we have the opportunity to regularly and constantly drink water that has a colossal negative charge. It's the same as living in a polluted city while having a capsule around us with charged clean mountain or forest air. This is called antioxidants. And in our case, there is an antioxidant that is currently considered the best in the world, the strongest in its antioxidant properties. Hence the name, H500. The water is charged with a potential of up to minus 500 millivolts. So, we have dealt with water-soluble toxins, what to do with fat-soluble ones, and ideally to have a complex, and we have the perfect program for this, called Coral Detox Water. Plus, this is a program that can eliminate 100% of toxins on a regular basis. In essence, in simple terms, this is a program that helps maintain the right environment inside our aquarium. There are several products. We talked about H500 water. A simulator is plant-based enzymes. Imagine a washing machine, and naturally, in order to wash dirty things, we need water. And the laundry detergent is like the assimilator, lecithin. So, lecithin helps with the ideal flow of bile. And a person will naturally see changes in digestion and overall sensation. Additionally, melittin is involved in the formation of the myelin sheath of our nerve cells. It's like insulation for a wire and will directly affect our nervous system. Next is Pentacan, a potassium-sodium pump that helps cells release toxins and receive nutrients. And alfalfa is a plant that is considered richest in the world in fiber. Accordingly, it acts like a vacuum cleaner that collects all of this. So, my friends, we have a program that works on a comprehensive level. It doesn't matter what issue a person comes to us with, whether it's a problem or simply wanting to be healthy, that's not the point. We will always start with this program because it changes the quality of the water inside our aquarium. Let's move on. The next step is to cleanse. On one hand from parasites and on the other hand to cleanse the intestines, removing waste and toxins. We'll start with parasites. First of all, 70% of diagnoses in the world are made incorrectly. This is official data from the World Health Organization. Moreover, these guys can live absolutely anywhere. The aggression of bacteria, viruses, fungi, yeasts, and protozoa can be found in any of our organs. One might ask, what is the problem? Problem is very simple. The word parasite translates from ancient Greek as one who eats at the table of others. Have three interesting properties. First, you are a dining hall for them. We have no task to kill them, but they constantly nibble at us. They consume micro and macro elements. Some of them can drink blood and so on and so forth. And a person consumes a huge amount, let's say, of supplements and vitamins, but they are not absorbed because they pass through somewhere in transit. Next, parasites regularly excrete toxins, meaning we are also a toilet for them, in addition to being a dining hall. And this intoxication can be felt in a variety of manifestations. And a person will not associate this with having certain parasites. And third, they periodically die. And this is one of the reasons why they cannot just be killed with some chemical agent without taking care to eliminate them. Another problem is that practically no one today is researching this topic. I am talking about modern, ordinary people. Who among us last took a test? And there is a huge spectrum of them, because there are hundreds of various species and classifications. Why is it necessary to do this? Because according to official data from the same health organizations, well, 2/3 of the Earth's population definitely has various types. And our task is to preventively get rid of this, because it is likely that most of us have them, through water and so on and so forth. The next solution is the ParaShield program. This is a comprehensive program that incorporates, well, let's say, the most modern scientific methods and technologies for parasite cleansing using knowledge of nature. What products are included here? Paraphyte, ant tree bark, and black walnut. These are precisely the components that will directly affect their destruction. The second, we know that our task is to ensure detoxification. This is handled by the second product, which is called coral burdock root. Next, very often when a person undergoes certain antiparasitic programs, the body's immune defense is activated, and the person starts to feel To put it mildly, not very well, headaches, some rashes, difficulty passing, and so on. And this task is handled by the next product, which is called MSM, which contains sulfur. There are two products, this assimilator, enzymes and bacteria, that replenish what we, so to speak, have removed. My friends, in combination, this program can be considered one of the most effective anti-parasitic programs in the world today, as it is suitable for absolutely anyone, it is safe, and has a comprehensive effect. Let's move on. The next topic is intestinal cleansing. The Chinese say that with a spoon and fork, we are digging our own grave. But what is this related to? First of all, by the age of 25, toxins, waste, and so on accumulate in the intestines as a result of our not-so-ideal lifestyle. What does this lead to? It leads to the fact that our body is essentially forced to drink water. It drinks water from the intestines where water is absorbed. But imagine, this water passes through a layer of mucus that has formed there. And a person may experience chronic intoxication because all of this is in the intestines. That's not all. The intestines have a temperature 38 degrees higher than the rest of our body. They have the ability to stretch. So imagine a pouch filled with toxins, stretched out, that starts to press on organs it shouldn't press on and shouldn't touch. And we get inflammatory processes. And instead of going back to what Eastern medicine talks about, the knowledge that has been there for millennia, cleanse your body first and then go to the doctor. Many people do the opposite. I ask the question, how regularly, how often do you undergo preventive cleansing of your body? Most people naturally have no answer to this topic. One of the most common reasons why is that there are no adequate solutions on how to do it simply and effectively. But we will talk about this a little later. Now, let's touch on the topic of acid-base balance. Essentially, this is our line of life and death that we balance on. Acidic environment is the zone of death. An alkaline environment is the zone of life. If you are in a slightly alkaline environment, this is blood, lymph, saliva. And now imagine everything we eat either acidifies it, meaning the food has a low pH. Look online. There is a lot of information today about which foods are alkaline and which are acid forming. And you will definitely see and determine that 80% of the food we consume, all processed food, all carbonated drinks, practically the water we drink, flour, sugar, all of this acidifies us. And accordingly, an alkaline environment consists of some greens, almost all of them, certain fruits, certain vegetables, that is, living food. And we, as we have determined, predominantly have the opposite. And this is what it leads to. According to the World Health Organization, 1 in 5 men and 1 in 6 women will have cancer at some point in their lives. In 2014, 10 million people. In 2020, 19 million people. And in 2023, it will be around 40 million people in a year. And the organs that are most affected are those that are involved either in the absorption and processing of everything we consume or in the elimination and removal of toxins. That is, these systems are very heavily overloaded. And what conclusion should we draw from this? That our task is not just to partially eat less of all this mucus-forming food, but at the very least, the best solution we can make is to regularly undergo body cleanses. And here is the best news now for all the people who have seriously thought about this topic. We have a program that already takes into account all the physiological characteristics of our body. Albert Zaire, a 5th-generation herbalist and Canadian scientist, has studied all existing cleanses in the world for 20 years. He developed his own that meets all criteria, which includes detoxification, elimination, and a partial anti-parasitic effect. Where the program will assist with lymphatic drainage. In other words, there are many processes that are interconnected. The program lasts 14 days with 7 days of preparation, 4 days of cleansing, and several days of recovery. And now imagine that a person, over the course of 14 days, gets rid of everything they have accumulated over many years of life. Do you think there is a likelihood that they will feel better? That it will reflect on their appearance? That it may affect their weight? Many people on this program lose 5 to 10 kilograms of unnecessary waste. Can this impact their immunity? Can this reflect on the skin? Friends, my question is rhetorical, of course. And I see every time when my friends, my acquaintances who use this program say, listen, for me, this is just, I have rediscovered myself. I didn't know I could feel this way. I didn't know I could feel so much energy. And essentially, this program is the perfect preparation to start nourishing your body with the right components, the right food. And we will talk about this further. Our task is to nourish the body. There are two processes here. On one hand, to obtain building material. We get it from food. On the other hand, we need to obtain energy from food. Let's figure out how we are doing with this now. First of all, our task is to obtain 28 amino acids, 15 essential groups of minerals, 12 groups of vitamins, 7 groups of enzymes, and 3 polyunsaturated fatty acids. Imagine that our body is like a construction site, and we are building our own cells, which regularly die every day, and new ones are born. And each of these elements is interconnected. Amino acids are like bricks. Minerals glue them all together. Vitamins, and that's how it translates, vitamines. Vita means life, and mines refer to minerals. So, vitamins give life to minerals, enzymes regulate all these processes, and polyunsaturated fatty acids make up the membranes of our cells. And only thanks to biologically available and proper water do these minerals directly enter the cell. What happens to us regularly? First, we are collectively lacking all these elements. What is this related to? On one hand, before food reaches our kitchen, to our table, was it grown today? We know today that any farmer is most concerned about making a profit. When we buy products in the supermarket, it doesn't say on this apple how much iron it has. This one has more. Now everyone thinks about making their products larger, having a nice shape, and lasting longer. A huge number of studies conducted in the United States and Europe prove that today the soil is becoming very poor in micro and macro elements. What used to be in apples is no longer there today. Moreover, how does all this end up on our table? After going through a huge number of various processing stages, and what happens to our nutrients? Amino acids break down at a temperature of 80 degrees, minerals turn into inorganic forms, vitamins are destroyed, and fats change their composition. So essentially, yes, we do get something, but it all comes in a very processed form. And we receive very few of these substances in a natural way. And now the main idea is that if our body lacks this building material, we face problems from the deficiency. Well, let's say with a calcium deficiency, there are about 147 different diseases. The zinc deficiency, it affects the entire reproductive system. By the way, after the coronavirus, many doctors said to take zinc because it affects the sense of smell, and we know that this virus significantly impacts these processes. So zinc is precisely the mineral that should replenish all these missing links. Next is selenium, which affects the formation of immunity. I can translate a colossal number of examples of the interconnection between micro and macro elements and our health. The main global conclusion is that if a person is lacking micro and macro elements, one day he tames his life for several days. That is, instead of the same genetic potential of 120 years or more, a person lives much less. Again, there have been a huge number of studies on this topic. They took a sparrow, if I'm not mistaken, it was at University of California. They took a sparrow, which in normal urban conditions lives on average for 1 to 2 years, and created the right environment for it. That is, they removed stress, as we discussed at the beginning, and provided all the nutrients. And it lived there for some time. When all these tests and examinations were taken again, it turned out that this sparrow would live at least 16 to 17 years. The same experiments were conducted with people. It took several couples and placed them for 3 years, also in a certain environment. Then, after that, they took various tests, placed all these technologies into a computer, and it turned out that the genetic potential as a result of the research is 160, 170 years. This is proof that if we nourish our bodies with what allows our cells to regenerate, we can significantly extend our lives and improve the quality of life, which is also important. And if we put it in the simplest terms, let's say I have a grandmother and grandfather, I have a mother and father, want them to be healthy longer, to have their joints functioning well for a longer time, and to have a good immune system. Should I wait until these systems start to break down and then treat them? Or is it better to focus on prevention now and give my children and parents what will help them recover? What solutions do we have? Where can we obtain all this? Well, on one hand, we can source it ourselves somewhere. I have a friend who lives in Germany, Maxim Berger, and he has consciously practiced raw foodism his whole life, collecting all these herbs himself. One time I visited him at home and saw these processes, how he gathers these herbs, how he extracts juice from them and makes smoothies. It looks terrible, it tastes terrible, and very few of us will engage in these things. And we have another way. We have the opportunity to benefit from the experience of scientists, which totals centuries when combined, if we sum up the experience of the scientists who work with us. And they create products for us based on herbs, fruits, berries, and plants. It's simply their extract in dry form, liquid form, or as oil. And all of this is under one roof, which is called Coral Club, which has been on the market for over 25 years. Created in Canada, produced in the USA, Germany, France, Japan, South Korea, all according to GMP standards. In total, more than 2,500 active certificates. That's all. The most important thing is the results we talked about. And if a person likes it, they come back again. Say thank you, they give recommendations, and it all gets promoted. If they don't like it, that's where it all ends, right? And no certificate will make a person use this product if they don't see results for themselves. Next, I will show you some results. Only in my organization, as I told you, there are far more than 100,000, but I will try to highlight a few of them now. Elena Petgrushnaya, Olympic champion. When I met her, she said, "Alexander, I use the product at all stages, during training for competitions, during the cycle, and in the recovery period. Moreover, as a professional athlete, I can very accurately determine my performance metrics." If we ordinary people might not notice the absence or presence of the right water, she says, I see the difference instantly. I drink this coral water during my training cycle, and I drink regular water. The difference is enormous. She says, today, I personally recommend these products to everyone around me, to everyone who trains with me. Next result. Well, instead of 1,000 words, you can just look at the photo of Gulnara. The problem she has lived with for years constrains her life. It greatly affects her social adaptation. And after 8 months on the concept, after the Parashield detox, she has such results appearing cyclically. But can you imagine that a person cannot remain silent, and naturally they are ready to share this information with everyone? At the very least, the family is 100% using it and also follows this concept. And how many people have similar health questions? We understand that the root cause was internal and we eliminated it. And here are such results. As long as I can remember, I have always struggled with excess weight, but once I tried the Koroklov concept, my friends, the results related to weight are just, I don't know, probably every second result we have is connected to weight. Do you understand how much easier it will be to lose excess weight? The concept I shared with you, and this is my favorite result, one of a series of favorites. This is about longevity. When a person is 40 by passport, but looks 30. Or conversely, looking 60 if the biological age is greater. By the way, these technologies are also available to us today. Anyone can check their biological age, but essentially, this is what I encourage everyone to consider. The question is not about treatment, it's not just about eliminating the problem, and completed a course of the program, how long do I need to take it? How much air do you need to breathe? And how much proper water do you need to drink? It's like a lifestyle. As much as you want to be healthy, you can't just go to the gym once and get fit for life after that. And that's it. I entered, and you promised me that I would have results. Health is not a result, it's a process. But you can see these changes as you start to change your habits and apply the recommendations we discussed. And now let's summarize everything we've talked about. First step we start with is the flushing. We have the Detox or Detox Plus program, which changes the water in the aquarium. The second step is the anti-parasitic program Parashield. The third step is Kalavada. And at the fourth stage, we start feeding the body. There is a comprehensive program. There is nutrition that nourishes central nervous system. Nutrition that nourishes our immune system, and we can vary it like a supermarket for our cells. The price of the issue? Well, it's probably like the cost, I don't know, of a lunch, and even then it's unlikely you can have a decent lunch or dinner for that money today. And this is a restaurant for cells. My friends, when we start feeding our cells, we eliminate the mode called overeating. Because we often want to eat because our cells are hungry. And we just walk around and regularly check what new has appeared in refrigerator. And first of all, I want to say that this is not a matter of money. It is not for the rich or the poor. It is for wise people. Because if we come to any person and look at what they have in their refrigerator and see how much we buy that is harming us, and we understand how much money we could save on this whole story. And what is the solution? Gradually, we reduce the expenses on what our body does not need. in favor of what we talked about today. Then, when internal and personal motivation appears in the form of results, in the form of well-being, we make a conscious choice about how to relate to it further. And the last thing I want to say is that 95% of people are engaged in treatment. 5% of people are engaged in treatment, and only 5% of people are focused on health. Health is not a one-time course. It is not just a program that can be completed. It is a process through which we can live a long, beautiful, and fulfilling life. My friends, that's all I have. Reach out for information to the people who provided you with it. I am sure they will share their results and tell you about their own experience. Well, we will see each other in the next videos. See you.